ended up getting divorced from your first husband at 30 to 31, right?
Yep.
So as you know, oftentimes on this show, I kind of talk about how at 30, there's this pressure to settle down and to have a baby and to do all these things. You, for so long, were chilling, like, check, check, check. I'm an overachiever. I got these things all taken care of. And then had this, like, your world gets flipped on its side moment at 30, and just when you thought you had it all already, you're starting from ground zero again. What was that like for you? How did that drive you into sort of where you are now too?
Well, I felt all of that pressure also. I was going to be pregnant with or already have my first child at 30, own a home, be a stay-at-home mom. He would work and all of that. And I got engaged when I was 24. We got married when I was 25. I was on track. That was all happening. And then I remember saying on my 30th birthday to my ex, this is going to be the best year of my life. Like, I've never felt more like myself. I feel really centered. Like, I can't wait for this. And it was funny because he said, I feel like this is going to be the hardest, like, worst year of my life. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then, like, we were both right. Like, and it was, I mean, and a lot of like even if like you've broken up with someone, like you've been thinking about breaking up with them for a while. You don't like have that thought and then break up that day. Yeah. Usually, right? If you've been with them a while. Definitely with a marriage, like our marriage had been over for a long time. The relationship had been over, and then it was like the grieving process and realizing this. And a lot of what I went through was letting go of those pressures, but like, I'm doing it, but I did it. I'm going to be 30 and divorced. Like, how am I going to date? Who's going to want to marry a divorcee? I'm now damaged goods. Also, I've never been on a date. I don't know what I'm doing. Who else I've slept with him and my high school boyfriend. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, like, this is terrifying. And so much shame and, dealing with this, like, I'm a failure. And then by the time it all came around, like, I had to go through and process all of that and go through all of that to then reach a point where I was like, you know what? Like, getting out of something that isn't working isn't a failure. No. That's a success. I'd be a failure if I'm only 30. I have so much life ahead of me compared to what's behind me that, like, I'm not going to stay in this forever. Like, are you 18-year-old Alissa gets to determine everything? And I just reached a point where I was like, also, when I'm dating, if some guy, which there was a guy who like judged me for being for having been divorced, like, thank you, because now I know you're not it. Like, I'm not wasting any time with you. And it felt insane, but also it was the most empowering thing I've ever experienced to then enter my 30s just being like, I may not know exactly what it is I want, but I am crystal fucking clear on what I don't want and what I do not tolerate.
That is so inspiring. And that is honestly half the battle. Sometimes you work backwards, right? Sometimes we work backwards.
Process of elimination.
Exactly. So you did that. And it's so many women, again, like, stay because the fear of what are other people going to think? And I don't want to start over. You really put yourself first in that situation, and not many people have the courage to do that, and you have been rewarded tenfold for that decision. And sometimes being brave and being the leader or the first to do something that feels really wild and really scary can start this whole other side of like endless positive possibilities that you never even knew existed. But if you lived in that fear, you would still be doing the same thing as you were. And it's all about growth and evolution and continuing to like challenge ourselves. And also, you deserve that happiness. You deserve to have pleasure. Yes. You deserve all these things. So at the end of the day, what good is making anybody else happy or, you know, get their approval if at the you when you look in the mirror at night or when you lay your head on the pillow, don't feel that way too. It doesn't mean shit.
Exactly.
To be honest.
It doesn't. And I said something so similar to that around like, and if people are going to judge me, like they aren't the ones that like go to sleep and wake up in this body.
Yeah.
And if I can do that and feel good about what I'm doing, I don't have room for your reaction to that.
Alissa,
you know, I can't control that.
Alissa and Alissa only. Okay?
That's right.
And all of you listening should feel the same way. Insert your name.
You can too.
Yes.
You can too.
Yes.
It is possible. I know it feels impossible because also we're conditioned. We're not supposed to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that story. It's unique. It's empowering. It's, like I said, inspiring. And, you know, a lot of times what we've talked about on the show is, oh, I'm not there yet. Like for me, I'm not married yet. Oh, I'm behind. But and a lot of people I think can relate to that, right? Or we've waited. But with you, it's like, oh no, I did it, and now I'm starting over. You've lapped us. You've lapped us. So it's a really cool experience and unique story. So I'm glad you shared it. Thank you.
Yeah.